Iris Illusion coming at you with another fun makeup tutorial. Now, it's been quite a while since I started doing the videos again because unfortunately recently everyone in my area had started getting sick with like the flu, walking pneumonia, all kinds of nasty stuff going around. And with how dry and cold the weather's been lately, it has not done anyone any favors, especially for my job. So, starting to feel a little bit better. I'm not 100% quite yet, but it's enough to where I could say I finally can try getting back and doing the makeup routine. So for today's look, I have a kind of simplistic but very fabulous style of makeup. It's very neutral with a hint of a baby blue tone. And so I thought I would do something kind of fun like that again, along with some new products to play with. Probably not new in the community, but just new to play with on me and this channel. Starting off with, I don't know if I talked about this the last time, but I have the Rimmel Multitasker Better Than Filter Foundation, which is a primer, a glow booster, and highlighter all in one, which I like using as somewhat of a base for certain parts of the face. More specifically around my brow and under eye nose area. And we use this kind of like as a starter. And then going in with my concoction of foundations, I also have another one to add into it, which is the LA Colors Truly Matte Long Wearing High Pigment Foundation. This is in the shade Natural, which God forbid there's nothing natural with how I do my looks, but just adding a little bit into my little concoction here, and we're just going to go ahead and start covering the forehead. And I've also tried yeah, there's that dry cough still kicking in. I've been trying out some different techniques, which I've fallen in love with, and changing up somewhat of the style of my looks to where it's still pretty chiseled, but it's not as harsh, and it gives more definition, especially for the cheeks. I'm just using my AOA Studio brush to kind of buff all this out. Make sure we have a blank canvas to start off with. Alrighty. Now we're going to go in with the contour. This hasn't really changed much. Hey guys! So starting off with my Revolution Eye Bright and Warm Mocha, we're going to trace out our contour, especially for the eye. And then going in with my She Glam Liquid Contour, this is in Soft Tan. It's a little cooler, which will help kind of blend it all together, if you will. And then taking my Milani Cream Foundation, this is in the shade 250 Sand Beige, with a fluffy angular brush. We're going to buff this in. And that way we have that angle to know where our shadow is going to be. One side down. And same with the other side.
Alright, and then moving on to highlight, taking my L'Oreal Full Fallible Face in Eggshell. And I'm just buffing that out with this Real Techniques Expert Buffing Brush. Make sure everything's kind of blended just in between. There we go. Then moving on to brows, taking another L'Oreal concealer. This is in the shade Mocha with a angular brow brush. I'm just going to take this and sketch out these brows. And we're going to keep them a little bit more structured, if you will. We're just going to pull up and out, and then up and out. Much like that. And then taking that buff brush, we're just going to feather out the front ends of these. Right. It's kind of even. And it's about as close as we're going to go. Definitely going to need a fan on for this. I'm taking my setting powder. We're going to set this upper half first. Right. And then taking my fluff brush here, we're going to take this and this foundation powder. This is the mattifying powder from the Found Cosmetics. I'm just going to blend and dust away all the setting powder. Alright. I'm going in to fill these brows, taking my Hard Candy bronzer in Cocoa. Right. I'm doing the same with the other side. then taking my Shigley press powder, we're going to highlight the forehead, as well as feathering out the front ends of these brows. And then taking my Wet n Wild Mega Lash Liner, we're going to fill out the ends of these brows. And then taking a darker brow powder, we're going to set these. And try to pull that color forward. There we go. Alright. And going in with my Lottie London. Excuse me. Right. And then taking my Maybelline. Goodness, this cough. I'm taking this Maybelline Super Stay Concealer. We're going to clean up the undersides of these brows. Starting with this one since I did make it a little too big. Much better. Setting this with a translucent powder from e.l.f. See the other side. Alrighty. Now moving on to the eyeshadow. We're going to start off with priming our eyes. A little bit of my Profusion neutral base. And then my NYX Ultimate Eye in shade 1. And then taking this dense brush from Do You Dare Cosmetics. Okay. And getting our edge ready. So with the color palette for today, it's going to be using some more like gray tone browns with a baby blue tone. So we're going to be using a mixture of the 3 Zodiac palettes from BH Cosmetics. So starting off with the Crystal, because we're going to need this dark tone first. We're going to focus this mainly on the outer corner. Much like so. I'm grabbing a lighter, fluffier brush. I believe it's from like this one. In the regular Zodiac palette, we're going to take... Nope, it was the other one. So from the Zodiac Love Signs, we're taking a lighter brown tone. We're going to use this to kind of buff out this edge and bringing it into the crease and over. I'm taking whatever's left on the original brush, just going to buff that in. Alright. Now going into the cut crease, we're going to start off with crease canvas. And just a little, because I have a liquid shadow I'm going to play with here. And taking my fluff brush, I'll blend this all in. And then taking that one brush, just gonna lightly set the inner corner. And I'm taking this liquid eyeshadow by Lottie London. This is Color Cloud in the shade Sky Blue. And we're just gonna pop this little bad boy along the lid. And going in with my Car Beauty 60s palette, we're going to take Baby Doll, which is an equivalent of the light blue tone. There we go. And going back in first color. There we go. And then taking a little bit of Disco Queen from e.l.f., which is probably dried out by now, but we'll see. Surprisingly not. There we go. So that's for the upper half. Hang on. Buff that out just a smidgen more. Right, onto the other side. All right. Going back in with the canvas. I might have brought that one up a little too high, but oh well. Right. And going back in with a little bit of Disco Queen, wherever I set it. I'm going to add a little top off, going back in with the Crystals palette. Well, thank you very much. Going in with blue Chantilly here. Gonna kind of pop that on the lid to give it a little razzle dazzle. Nothing in life is natural. I would suggest you get over it and get used to it. Yeah. Right, now going on to the bottom half, going back in with the Rimmel Multitasker, we're going to use this to kind of prime the under eye and nose area. Along with etching out that shadow. Right? And then going in with my highlight again. And instead of when I normally do my under eye highlight, I do the huge triangles. I've gone back to doing just simply the dots, which actually feels a little bit better. And just a little down the nose and then under here. Because the Rimmel foundation actually helps to blend this out better so it doesn't feel as heavy. Alright. Well, thanks, Jordan. Now for nose contour, I do have a bit of a different approach to it. Starting off with this Wet n Wild Photo Focus Foundation in Chestnut. Just specifically the bottom of the nose to give it a little more shade. But then going up the sides, I'm going to take this putty bronzer from e.l.f. in... What does that should say? Day Trip, which is a little bit more neutral toned, I suppose. And we're just going to drag this up the sides. And then a little at the top just to cut off that highlight. There we go. And then just to kind of ease the contour, just barely gonna graze the sides. There we go. And then before, I'm going to take my foundation brush and just lightly buff out whatever's on the brush onto the highlight, just that way there's a seamless marry between them. So that way, when we do our foundation on the bottom half, it's not... The cover is more focused around the beard section, if you will. And then taking just a smidgen of the LA color, we're going to use this around the neck. Right. And just kind of reinforcing the highlight a little bit. There we go. So now we're going to get into the technical part of my contour, which is taking the same two as before So Day Trip, and then a little bit of Sun Kiss, which is a very deep shade. Taking this face under eye concealing brush, which I use more specifically as a sculpting brush. Gonna dip into Daytime Sun Kiss, which is the deepest shade, and we're going to carve out the cheek. And then taking this, doesn't have a name specifically, but it's got this really interesting like ridge design to it. We're gonna take Sun Kiss, and we're just gonna buff out our Daytime and buff out Sun Kiss here. And then just buff everything in a little bit more. I'm going to go back in with Sun Beige from Milani with our brush. Just like so. So we have our cheek contour on, but now we're going to really enhance it to give it a more stuck-in effect. So taking my She Glam foundation balm in Shell, along with a foundation brush, we're going to cut the undersides of these cheeks a little. And even though this looks harsh at first, but once we blend everything together and set it, it'll really give the elusive appearance that my cheeks are more sunken in than they actually are. Which is why I love using that deeper contour to kind of reinforce it a little bit. To where it kind of, from a straightforward point, in comparison, gives a more chiseled appearance. And then the same with the other side. Well, thank you very much. Alright. I'm doing the same before. We're going to take Shell to cut the under cheek. Alright. And then taking whatever's left on the contour brush, we're just going to do the jawline a little bit. And for blush, we're going to keep it more on the somewhat neutral side, just so that way the eyes can be more of the attention grabber. So with that being said, I'm going to take Aerosol Spritz and a little bit of Peach Mimosa, which are more like neutral tones. And both of these are from Profusion Cosmetics. The Peach Mimosa has more of a shimmer sparkle to it. Hello. So it's got more of like a glow, which works great for someone who wants to wear it just on its own to have a natural glowing appearance. Thank you so much. So as you can see with the blush and without, how it kind of definitely adds the color back into the skin. So we'll do the same on the other side. And usually I always love using the darkest blush as part of the contour just to enhance it a little bit more. And then a little on the nose just to kind of add that little effect. Thank you very much. Any love and support is always appreciated and welcome on this channel. Alright. Got the foundation and everything out. Now we're going to start setting it. And I'm actually starting to get low. I'm going to have to resupply this. Alright. Second. Alright, and just like before, taking this pressed powder foundation by Found and a large fluff brush. Dust away all this foundation, all the setting powder, and blend it in. Alrighty. Now moving on to the nose contour. As usual, taking my Bitter Butter illuminating powder from Physicians Formula. Just going to go straight down. Yep, there goes the nose again. Down the bridge. Alright. And then taking my contour palette from LA Colors. And let lying dogs speak if they want to. Alright. I'm going in with the highlighting tones. We're just going to get the sides. Somewhat, if you will. Makeup artistry, drag, kind of all fall into the same lineup with me. Right, but the one and only doesn't need to be heard here either. Thank you. Alright, I'm taking my two pressed powders from Revolution, both vanilla and translucent. We're going to hit the sides of these nose. Alright, so another new product that I've been playing with recently, and I believe it just came out recently, is this Wet n Wild loose setting powder in the shade Pink Rose, soft pink. So this is going to be replacing my AOA Studio Soft Pink Touch Translucent Powder. This, for some of us with a lighter complexion, give a more natural-esque highlight underneath the eye, as you'll watch between this side and this. How it kind of gives a more natural-esque highlights, if you will. Whereas with a true translucent powder, it gives a white undercast. So these pink and lavender highlights kind of help those give a more quote-unquote realistic under-eye highlight. And I've already been using it for my last two makeup applications, and I love the way it comes out. I'm doing a little underneath the cheek here, so that way we have a guideline for when we do the contour. And then just a little on the forehead, if you will. Party. And now on to contour, and I've changed this up a little bit to where it's definitely more chiseled, but at the same time it retains a good shape. So I have this specific angular contour brush, which I'm going to use to chisel out the cheeks while using a fluffy taper brush to help with blending it out. So usually my darkest contour, I love going in with this CoverGirl Smoothers, which is a translucent pressed powder. This is in translucent tawny. And we're just going to use this to give that initial chiseled look while blending it up into the hairline. And then taking my super bronzer in Desert from Revolution, we're just going to lightly dust and bronze this out over top. And this will help kind of marry the tones together as such. Next up, taking my denser bronzer brush, I'm going to take my L'Oreal Insta Bronzer in 205 Fair. And we're just going to graze the top so we're building that dimension and transitional color. And then last but not least, taking my Charlotte Tilbury bronzer. This is in 2 medium. This will be basically like the lightest tone of a bronzer. And we're just going to dust this over top. And voila! compared to with and without. It definitely helps to add the dimension as well as the appearance of having a more chiseled cheek than what you were actually given. Plastic surgery done makeup. God, my nose is... This dry cough and dry air is killing me. Right. Alright, and then without adding anything to these three brushes, we're just going to take these to do the jawline. And then pulling the denser one more towards the back. I'll pass. Tried him once, wasn't impressive. He wasn't as hung as everyone says he is. And you need a life, Leela. Alright. Now moving on to cutting the undersides of the cheeks. I'm going to go in with my Super Stay Press Foundation from Maybelline. Along with this Color Spell Foundation. There we are. This press foundation is actually almost done. Damn. All right. And then taking my L'Oreal True Match Classic Beige Press Powder Foundation. It kind of marries into the natural skin tone, if you will, while letting the highlights stay high and lighted. Alright, and now for blush, we're going to still keep it more neutral and peachy. So I'm going to take this Fresh Peach Cheekers from Morphe, along with this Pure Nude Baked Blush from Essence in Peach, Pretty Peach. And we're just going to mix the two together. There we are. Alright. And then to blend everything together, I'm going to take my mixer foundation here. My Simply Bella pressed foundation with a large fluff brush. We're just going to use this to dust over and blend everything together so it's kind of on an even playing field, if you will. Alright. And then for highlight today, I want to keep it a little bit more in tone with the blue. So I have a new highlight from Wet n Wild from the Chameleon Chrome collection. This is Venus Swings, which is this beautiful like duochrome blue. And we're going to mix it with this aquamarine foundation, Jesus, highlight from Kat Von D. Take a little of each. Oh my god, are you kidding me? This new duo, this like chrome collection that came out with Wet n Wild Eats, it is so beautiful. Especially their glosses here, which I can't wait to play with this black one. It's almost like a pure oil slick. But I'm saving that for a very special look when I go into my Shadow High doll looks. Thank you. Whoever says highlight is ugly obviously doesn't know how to master it, because I love nothing more than a disco cheek. Alright. With that being said, now we're moving on to the lower half of the eyes. So as usual, I'm going to take my whiteout shadow stick from Hard Candy Cosmetics, and we're going to draw in the waterline to open these bad boys up a little bit. Like so. Well, thank you very much. It's more open interpretation, but the look that I have it posted in the thumbnail is what we're kind of basing it off of. It's mainly just the shadow design itself. So this is what I've been doing to do my under eye liner, is by using this Wickedly Glam LA Colors cream paints. It's just taking the black with a very skinny concealer brush from e.l.f. Taking the black and basically drawing in and because it's a cream paint, it smudges out nicely, so I'm just taking this like kind of smudgy brush and I'm pulling it so that way we have more of a smudged, smoky effect while still keeping the shape of the eye. And then going back in with the Zodiac palette, taking that dark purpley tone from the Crystal palette. Just like so. Just sort of smoking out that lower half. And then taking a brush that doesn't have any product on it, which is this kind of fluffier brush. God damn it, there goes the nose. We're just going to buff this out. There we go. And then doing the same with the other side. Thank you so much. Alright. And then next I'm going to take this like silverly eyeshadow stick from L'Oreal. This is in the shade Ice Sparkles. And we're just going to pop this in on the inner corner. Much like so. No, you're all good. And for those that can't ever stick around for the whole thing, I always make sure to have it posted on my channel so that way people can review it over. Alright, so to kind of enforce this eyeliner, I'm going to take my Master Precise liner pen from Maybelline, wherever she disappeared to. Well, may not be Maybelline, but Wet n Wild will be this thing. So we'll take this. Thank you so much. This is what I love doing the most. It's just having fun with makeup, showing people how to turn even the most inexpensive stuff like LA colors into a treasure. So going in with this LA Color liquid liner, we're going to do the upper half. Now this is probably a tip and trick for those that have hooded eyes like I do, where you see that kind of fold right there. We're going to use that to basically be our guideline of how big this liner is going to be. So we're just going to draw as close to the lash line as possible. Blink. And where it transferred, this is how big of the wing is going to be. And even if it's a little messy, don't worry, we'll clean that up. But as you can see, where it's practically filled in, but looking at it straight away, simple liner. And then using that that flat edge as a guide, for a very pulled out style wing. I mean, there's always a way to kind of beat the methods when it comes to makeup. Just like earlier, using Scotch tape as a way to practice having a straighter edge, you could use concealer underneath to help clean it up as well. Close enough. And half the time, it's never going to be completely even anyway, but just make it your thing. Just say there was an earthquake, I don't know. Something. And then I'm just going to take this silver pen liner, and we're just going to clean up the edges a little. There we go. Now moving on to lips, I have a fun little combo here. We're going to take a very basic nude pink, a basic nude itself, and then a deep purple, which we're going to use as a liner. So starting off, we're going to take this Rosy On Over from Hard Candy Cosmetics. Depending on the detailing, it can range between maybe an hour and a half to 2 hours. But I've gotten it down to where I've gotten it to about an hour and 15 minutes almost. And that's because I'm usually having to rush it in the mornings before going to work sometimes. But it could generally take an hour, 15 minutes to maybe 2, depending on the style and the detailing. Right? This little right down here. Alright. And then taking... Oh, I didn't even say it. This was Devotion by Rimmel Cosmetics. This is some of their older matte liquid lipsticks, but they have changed up the looks recently. And then this is Raw Kiss. And I'm taking the finger, we're just gonna... And then just for a little gloss fun, this is the holographic iridescent gloss from LA Colors. This is in Dream World, which is more of their pink, but it has a lot of like blue reflex put into it, which will kind of loosely tie in the eyes, but professionally, no. This is more of just a fun side hobby. Because I've tried doing other people's makeup before, but unfortunately it doesn't transfer as good as when I do it to myself. And then the worst thing about being a perfectionist is that once something starts to go haywire or doesn't go the right way, I start to spiral and then it all just becomes a mess. Which is why I'd rather risk it being on myself and then showing you guys how to do it to kind of follow into the steps. We are almost done, however, so I'm going to mascara these eyes before putting on the lashes, which I'm going in with my quintessential jewel lashes that I've gotten from Halloween. Where did that mirror go? Nope, here she is. So I'm going to take this Maybelline The Colossal Bounce Mascara. And we're just going to use these to basically start coating the lashes first. And don't think I don't appreciate the comment, Jordan. I'm just focusing. I would definitely say I wouldn't call myself an expert when it comes to makeup, because there's a lot of terms and styles and techniques I haven't really gotten into yet. I don't know how to differentiate the differences of a heart-shaped face to an angular or very square. Makeup is subjective. Techniques are subjective. It all depending on what works best for you and your face shape. For some people, like, for instance, Miss Alyssa Edwards from Drag Race, I don't think I could ever emote her style because, one, she does it very dramatic, but at the same time, it looks so beautiful at the end. And two, I can't pull off a red lip worth a damn. Yesterday, when I did that look for Taylor Swift, Look What You Made Me Do, that was probably the first time in a long time that I've ever done a red lip. Oh, I know, it's absolutely spooky how good I look, doesn't it? Alright. Next up with lashes, I'm going to take my quintessential lash glue duos, which is just a basic duo brush-on lash glue, and then this Ioni pen and glue combo. That's a liner pen and glue pen. Words. So taking my bejeweled lashes, I'm going to start off with the duo glue and just brush this onto the lash band itself. And while that's kind of drying and tacking down, we're going to take the Ioni and just prop it messily over the liner. So that way we have kind of like a base. And then propping that right on, holding it for a second. There we go. And then hopefully do the same with the other. My left eye is always the troublesome eye just because of the placement of my arm. So it may be a little more wonky than my right, but we'll make it work. Gonna have to. It really does. When I first started doing makeup, I think for the first 4 years I never did lashes because I could never get them to work. And it wasn't until a couple of friends on Facebook were telling me, hold up. There we go. Saying that I needed to have some lashes on to tie it all together so it's more feministic, which it does work, because when you don't have them on, there's not that sort of... It's kind of that one thing that doesn't tie it all together without them. Out of all the freaking mascaras I just had sitting out, they all disappear on me. Oh. So going in to finish this up, we're going to take... Oh, thank you. The Scandalized Curve Alert from Rimmel Cosmetics. Just enough to tie the lashes together. There we go. Well, thank you so much. Only thing I haven't really practiced on is doing like bottom lashes, especially individuals, just to kind of add more flair, but that'll come another time. To finish this look off, I'm going to go ahead and put on my hairpiece, which is just this like hair ponytail clip bit. Just like so. And normally I would set this with a setting spray, which recently I've been in love with this Elixir setting spray from Profusion.
They came out with like a smoke and mirrors collection during Halloween, and this has such a fine spray mist. It feels great. It doesn't feel like you're really drenching yourself with water. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, and anyone in between, we are pretty much finished with today's look. A little bit more dramatic than the original, but what are you gonna do? It's me. I don't play subtlety unless I have to. But actually, you know what? Let's see if this will make a difference on camera or not. So, because what setting spray will do is help meld the powders and everything back into the skin to kind of give it more of a skin-like appearance, which I guess it kind of does read a little bit better. So before going, I guess I'll discuss some of the products with today's looks, that way I can get a better review on things. So for today's eyeshadows, I played with 3 of the BH Cosmetics Zodiac palettes between the regular, the crystal, and the love signs. And I've had a hold of these for quite a while. Yeah, it's scary how good I look, right? And then the Cara Beauty 60s palette, which has these really fun sort of 60s mod colors to them. And then this is the BH regular palette. And I've had these sitting in the bottom of my makeup dresser for a while now, so I'm glad I kind of dug them out to start reusing them again. And then this is the crystal, which has a lot more metallics. Jealousy is a killer in the industry. Sorry, not sorry. And then this is the Love Signs palette, which I'm gonna definitely love using during Valentine's. I have such a fun idea for it. And then for cream bronzers today, like I said, I went in with these these e.l.f. putty bronzers in the shade Daytime and Sunkiss, which I use to help with differentiating the heaviness of the contour as well as giving it more definition and shape. God, I can't speak. With highlighter today, I use a mixture of the Kat Von D Aquamarine as a chromey style blue highlight, and then the new Wet n Wild Chameleon Chrome Venus Swings. Well, thank you so much, Alex. For lips, I went with a quintessential combo of Rimmel and Hard Candy and LA Colors. Oh yeah, every Halloween I will do what some influencers do, like a Halloween week of makeup inspired by fun looks. Usually I'll be a mermaid, something spooky, but I never go too scary just because of work. With wet hard candy, I used the Slain Stay Lasting Finish Rosy On Over, the Rimmel Stay Matte in both Devotion and Raw Kiss, and then my holographic iridescent gloss from LA Colors in Dream World. Foundations, I used a mixture of a few. The Profusion Feel Good Skin versus their old packaging and their new one packaging. I'm starting to sound like Michaela. This is in the shade 210 Light and Tan 3 for Warm Yellow, which just gives a more tan appearance. Now this one is weird because I got it from Dollar Tree, so there's no pure brand on it. It is called the Prolux Cosmetics Matte Foundation. $1.25. What can you do? Try effects makeup. I've been wanting to. One of the biggest things I really want to do is learning how to glue on three-dimensional prosthetics, especially crystals, flowers. If I ever wanted to do a rose look, I can have roses blooming out of one eye. Lastly, the last foundation is this LA Colors Truly Matte High Pigment Foundation. I don't know if it's a full coverage. I think it's more of a medium to full, but to me it works either way. concealer. The Infallible Full Wear Concealer Glow Up. I have not, but I've had a lot of my customers tell me about it, and it looks pretty cool. One of the series I remember watching was on Sci-Fi called Face Off, where they would do a lot of airbrush, a lot of like illusionary makeup, which is what I crave to do. Maybe someday, but for now, I don't mind being in the pretty phase for a while, especially going on 32 next month. And yes, I will be turning 32. Kill me. Which, I believe for the 32nd anniversary of things, the theme is bronze, so I'm gonna have a good time looking like a Kardashian in my birthday. Woo! Oh, primers. That's one thing I didn't discuss in today's video. I used the SheGlam Triple Threat Primer, which is a color correcting primer to help for like redness and such. The Essence Jelly Grip Hydrating Primer. And then the Hard Candy Matte Serum Primer. A lot of mattifying. Let's just say that's the theme for when I do my makeup. I think that about does it for today's video. I don't really know what more I've talked about, but this is my excuse me, cutesy little glamour style makeup. Yes, we are. Oh god, the 90s. Miss those days. But I think that about does it for today's video. This is my interpretation of a cutesy glamour look that I found on Instagram. I definitely loved how the eyes still turned out, especially they're not as carved out as I used to do it, to where I would bring that dark all the way into the inner corner. I've learned to keep that more towards the outer edge and just take a more transitional shade. But you know, if you loved this video, be sure to like and subscribe to my YouTube and Instagram, which is all under the same name of Iris_Illusion_2020. Don't know yet about TikTok coming back on yet, but excuse me. We'll see until then. But until then, you guys, yeah, I know, ew, it's disgusting how beautiful I look. But I will see you guys soon. Take care. And you guys have a great day. And also, Zanaya, get a life, sweetheart.